I'm sexy and I know it.
The host of Get a Grip Business Radio, Paul Montelongo.
I want me some Paul Montelongo.
Let's get it started. Let's get it started in here. Let's get it started. Let's get it started in here. Let's get it started. Let's get it started in here. Let's get it started. Let's get it started in here.
Good afternoon, Las Vegas. It's a gorgeous spring day here in the Valley. Welcome to KLAV AM 1230 Talk, the talk of Las Vegas. I'm Paul Montelongo. This is Get a Grip Business Radio. We're here going to discover what works in business, what works in your life, and what works in the world. There are a lot of crazy ideas out there, people. And frankly, there's some stupid happenings out there in the world. So I'm going to set those straight for you. My show's about what works and what needs to work better. What needs to work better in business, what needs to work better in the economy and finances in this country. I want you to know that I highly endorse and advocate the American free enterprise system. And along with that, we're going to get some real world thinking. And along that, we're also going to get a little entertainment. So this is a brand new show here in Las Vegas, and I just have this deep knowing that it's going to catch on like wildfire. By the way, you can listen to this show live streaming on the net by going to paulmontelongolive.com. It's that easy, paulmontelongolive.com. You'll also be able to pitch in with your questions and your comments there. The phone number is 866-820-5528. The local number, if you're from Vegas, is 702-731-1230. Also, I want you to follow me on Facebook. That's Paul Montelongo Fan on my fan page, Facebook fan page, and on Twitter at Paul Montelongo. So ask me your business questions, your finance questions. We'll get some interviews, some callers here in a little bit. In the studio with me today is my accomplice. That's Internet Amy. So Internet Amy, Give her a hand.
All right.
Yeah. So the world revolves around social media now. We all know that. I mean, an election was won back in 2008 because of how much Obama put into social media. Well, Amy is my social media expert. So Amy and her team, they've let the world know about this show. And so she'll be tweeting and she'll be Facebooking during the show. Your comments, your questions. I'll take your comments and questions when you tweet me or when you Facebook me. Remember, that's paulmontelongolive.com. And so today in today's show, in this this inaugural show, I'm going to talk about business. I'm going to talk about some finances. I'm going to talk about some things that are happening in the world that are current. I actually have a credit repair expert that's going to stop by and talk to us about the biggest mistake people make to screw up their credit repair. And you think that might be a boring subject, but just go out and try to buy a home, try to buy a car, try to buy some major ticket item, and they pull your credit, and it's all screwed up. So people do things to screw up their credit repair or their credit, and so I'm going to talk to an expert, and we'll see if we can get that fixed. Also, I have a segment. You're going to love this because I love this. This segment's called I'm Sexy, and I Know It. You like that?
Yeah.
I'm sexy, and I know it. Again, listen to the show live at paulmontelongo.com. Call in toll-free at 866-820-5528, or the local number here in Vegas, 702-731-1230. There's a lot of stuff happening in the news right now. You know, there have been reports that the United States economy is growing a little bit faster rate than estimated. But then we had jobs report come out this morning, and there's not as many jobs that have been created over the last month as that they thought.
Right.
So it should be. So, you know, this all affects the local economy here in Vegas. It affects the national economy. It affects entrepreneurs. And so, the job rate as published by the Commerce Department, you know, it's not that encouraging. And of course, then we listen to President Obama, and President Obama tells us that, this is all a good sign that we're getting increasing in jobs. And I think as the show goes on, you'll kind of find out where I stand on the political side of the fence.
Definitely.
I know you know already. So, but it does appear like there is some growth in the economy. Not as fast as we'd like, not as rapid as we'd like, but I have a little interesting take on that, and that is that that I think there's optimism out there anyway. I still think there's optimism. I think consumers and I think the public, I think business people, I think entrepreneurs are like poised on the threshold wanting to jump back in. And they're optimistic. They want things to happen. They want to hire. They want business to grow. And while we should never put our hands in or put our fate in the hands of the government. We just work with it, but we never put our fate in the hands of the government. I think that there's some optimism out there. That's just my personal opinion. But we have some challenges. And the biggest challenge that I see right now is the president still has not submitted a budget.
You got to have a budget.
I mean, every business has to have a budget to start off, right?
Absolutely.
In fact, the tragic thing to me is that 3 of the last 4 times he's supposed to submit a budget, he's been late every time. And so it's supposed to be submitted in the first Monday of February. And here it is, the 1st of April, the first part of April, and there's still no budget. So it's supposed to be next week. You keep putting it off. But I think as soon as he submits a budget, I think as soon as we see the details of the budget, and as soon as we see the details in comparison to what the Republicans have put together as a budget, then I think that at least for that moment there'll be some confidence that'll come back a little bit. I think that his budget needs to get real aggressive with spending cuts. I think it needs to get real aggressive with revenue generation to ignite the economy, and I don't think he's done that yet. And I mean, he's had 4 years, so he's in year 5. And Mr. President, it's time for you to get busy. It's time for you to really get busy and step up your leadership role and submit your budget and be a leader for the economy, for the American people, as you're supposed to. That's what you were elected to do. You were elected to be a leader. So, President needs to really eliminate the frustration here and get his budget on track and submit it. But along with that, there's some other good things happening. I see the residential construction is up, new home building is up, permits are up, and various parts of the country, like here in Las Vegas, I think last month or the month before, it dropped out of the top 10 worst places for foreclosures, so it dropped out of that. So it gives us a little optimism there. And National Association of Home Builders says that their builder confidence is up a little bit, and that the builders are now pulling permits. So again, my point is it's kind of chugging along a little bit, and it's kind of it wants activity. And I think it's a leadership issue. And I think the president, if he would just step up and lead like he was elected to do and instill that confidence with some solid numbers, I really think that we could come back much stronger than we had an economy before the recession.
I think so too. And I think we've got Greg on the line here, and I think he may have something to say about exactly what you're talking about. So if you're ready, we can go ahead and see what Greg
let's
has
have a
to
caller
say.
here. Greg,
Let's take a caller.
Greg, welcome to Paul Montelongo Show. What's up?
Hello, Paul Montelongo, and hello, Internet Amy. And you didn't indicate how beautiful Internet Amy is on the Internet. What a gorgeous red dress you have on today.
Oh, thank you very much, Greg. I do appreciate that. Greg just gave me a nice compliment, and that's always welcome.
Okay,
well,
Greg, what's your question, bud?
Quick shout out. You talked about growth and things. Austin, Texas leads the country in job growth. A little sleepy town down here called San Antonio is 5th. And I just wanted to, again, share that with you. We're trying to do everything we can, and looking forward to you having a great show. I can't stay with you the whole hour, but I just wanted to reach out and tell you congratulations, and you're going to help Vegas.
Thanks a lot, Greg. Greg, what industry are you in? What business are you in, Greg?
In the real estate business, Paul.
All right, so you know firsthand that things are starting to loosen up a little bit, right?
Well, they're getting there. Lenders, if I see that they're starting to do some things with lenders as well right now. If the lenders can actually, if people can qualify for these loans for homes that are being built, it'd be a great thing. But it is starting to loosen up that way. But the loan process we can't control. That's our legislation, and Dodd-Frank and the people up there in the lovely District of Columbia are helping us.
All right. Thanks for your call, Greg. Have a great day.
You guys have a great day. Thank you, sir.
All right. Good. Yeah. So again, optimism is out there, and folks want to get back to work, and folks really want to share in the economy. I do think, and I do know that there are companies out there that are really taking advantage of the economy as it is right now. And one of the bigger companies in the world, Walmart, just had a story come out recently where they are now into this thing called crowdsourcing. Have you heard about this? Or sharing economy? Have you heard about this?
Yeah, crowdfunding, crowdsourcing. It's a big news.
I think it's a great idea, actually. So they're considering this radical plan to have store customers, people that visit their store, deliver their packages of groceries or goods to the online buyers. So it's like you go into the store, do your shopping at Walmart, and someone has already ordered placed their online order. It's in a box or basket waiting, and because you live in their neighborhood, you take those groceries to them, and Walmart pays you a service fee for doing that service. I think it's a great idea. There's some problems with it, obviously. I mean, Walmart has millions of customers, and so they're able to outsource this, or they're able to group source this. Crowdsource it, they call it. I mean, there's some problems though, because you got to talk about delivery, you got to talk about thievery, you got to talk about liability.
Goodness, yeah, there's a lot.
On-time delivery, all of those kinds of things.
On-time delivery. Obama can't get the budget delivered on time. How can we expect groceries from Walmart?
Oh, maybe he could take a lesson from Free Enterprise.
Right, there you go.
But Walmart, they'd offer discounts on their customers. Shopping bill, covering their cost of their gas or covering the cost of their operating their vehicle. So I think that's a pretty good idea. I think they should really work it. Other companies have done something like this. Amazon has done a little something like this. There's a company called Zipmints that's done something like this. And online packages delivered to customers, it's by the customers themselves. I think it's a pretty innovative idea. And so they've just got to work out the kinks, the legalities, if they reach their destination, how to prevent theft and those kinds of things, driver liability, those kinds of things. But I think that I think if they work those kinks out, I think they'll have a pretty good business model there. But to me, it just illustrates that with some creative thinking, with some innovation, with using the resources that you have, or looking how to better use the resources that you have, businesses can thrive.
Anything is possible. And we've got another caller for you, Paul. We've got Shelley on the line here.
Hi, Shelley. Welcome to Paul Montelongo Show.
Hey, it's Shelley from Indiana.
Shelley, what's going on?
Oh gosh. You want to hear about myself? What do you want? You want a question?
Well, this is a business show, so if you've got a business talk show, so if you've got a question,
okay,
we'll take your question.
It's a money question.
Money questions we'll take money questions all day long. Go ahead. What's your money question?
So I'm 54, just got a divorce, raising a 14-year-old, joint custody with my ex-husband. Kind of entering like a new chapter of my life, practicing law of attraction, all those good things, living in gratitude. And kind of out of the blue last week, I got a call from a trustee of an executor of an estate of a long-lost cousin of mine who informed me I'm inheriting quite a significant sum of money. So,
well, the first thing you need to do, Shelley, is you need to come to Vegas and put it on all the tables. Right? So for those of you that are listening online, Shelley just said that she inherited a bunch of money. So my recommendation is immediately put it on red.
Right, there you go.
In fact, I'll see you down at the Bellagio.
I was thinking shoes.
Shoes. Yeah, shoes.
Okay.
No, okay.
Let's go with that.
Anyway.
All right. What's your question? What's your question about this? How much money did you inherit? How much money did you come into?
Probably, for some, it might be significant. For me, $250,000 approximately, and there's probably more. Some of it's in the form of a condo that's in the name of my daughter, and I will be her trustee till she's 18. That's about $100,000. 160-ish will be CDs that have already matured that I will just, turn into cash. And then instead of buying a Range Rover, what should I do with that? Should I invest this? I don't know. Should I enjoy it in my new chapter of my life? Should I say, something has come to me, I want to enjoy it? Or should I be more practically minded and more business business, minded and
Yeah, sure. So
invested, or both.
let's see if Amy's got an opinion on this. Amy, you're a woman. You've just inherited $250,000.
Buy shoes.
Amy, go with me. Car and shoes, honey.
Car and shoes. Yeah, exactly.
So budget how much, Amy, for the car and shoes?
So after you go to the track and after you go put it on the tables over here, so you know you've got some. No, seriously, you've got some business planning that you've got to do. Anytime you can put your money away and make it grow, that's really what you want to do. You say you're 54. You said.
Yeah.
So you're 54. So you still have a long life ahead of you, and you've got to do some business planning and some financial planning. That real estate that you have, that you said you inherited, what did you inherit?
Now it's a condo, about
condo?
100,000, 125 maybe. Who knows? It hasn't sold yet. So
Okay.
yeah, could maximum 125.
Okay, so I'll tell you what we'll do. We're going to take a quick break right now. We're going to go implement the free enterprise system here from our sponsors, and when we get back, Shelley, I'll answer your question in more depth. We'll be right back. Stay tuned.
Okay.
Welcome back to the Paul Montelongo Get a Grip Business Show. I'm Paul Montelongo, and you can watch this program streaming live over the internet at paulmontelongolive.com. I want to hear your questions and comments. You can call toll-free at 866-820-5528. The local Las Vegas number, 702-731-1230. Ask me any of your business or finance questions, and I will answer those for you. I'll even tell you if you're right or wrong about those business or finance questions. What I have on the line right before the break is Shelley, and Shelley just came into some money, about $250,000, and after she lays it on the table, what she's going to, down at the Bellagio, what she's going to do is you're going to set yourself up for the future. Real estate. Do you need that real estate? Does someone need to live in that condominium?
No, we want to sell it. In fact, we've already gotten an offer on it.
Oh, that's great. So get an offer. Yeah. Make sure that you get a CMA, comparative market analysis, so you find out what the value of that property is, so that you're receiving the market value with it. By the way, the market value is nothing more than what somebody will pay, and that's the market value. So it's based on estimates. It's based on a bunch of comparable statistics and figures. But make sure that you're set up there, and then get that money. And you say this money, your daughter's going to go to college.
I hope so.
Okay, so does she have a college fund? Do you have a college fund set aside for her?
I have about $100,000 put aside for her college education at this point.
Yeah, well, let me tell you, $100,000 for a for a decent college education, $100,000 is going to barely squeeze by there.
Okay.
You can ask me. I know I've got two sons that I put through college.
For volleyball and academics.
Okay, so take the money, set it aside. If you want to, in the interim, while she's what is she? Is she about to go to college, or is she in high school, or what?
No. She's a freshman in high school.
Okay, so she's got another 3 to 4 years before she actually enters college, right? Yeah, so if you want to, you could, if you want to, if it makes good sense, then you can put that money into a piece of property that you can resell within the next 3 to 4 years. Now you have to be real wise, because there's no assurances that you will resell that property. But if you want to make double, triple, quadruple sure that you have that money in an account for your daughter, just set it in an account and let it earn a little bit of interest. And the payoff to you will be the comfort and the security that you'll have in having that money for your daughter when she gets ready to go to college. Hope that answered your question. If you've got any more questions about that, feel free to send me a Facebook message, a Facebook fan, Paul Montelongo fan, and I'll be happy to answer the question. But appreciate you calling in to Paul Montelongo Show. That leads me. Yeah, thanks. That leads me right into, you're welcome. That leads me right into another piece of business that I wanted to talk about. And so just like not too long ago, I had somebody call me, and they were like really up in arms that their employer was pulling a credit report on them to qualify them for their job, their future employer, I should say, their prospective employer. And so they were really up in arms with this. And so the reality of it is that an employer can pull credit on you at any time, pre-employment, after you secure the job. And I mean, it's a screening apparatus. It's a screening tool. And so what I decided to do was have a credit repair expert in the house with us today. And so with me is Wences Perez. And Wences is Vice President of Alliance Credit Restoration here in Las Vegas, a credit restoration company. And he's put together a pretty interesting report, the 7.5 most commonly made mistakes about credit repair. Wences, welcome to the Paul Montelongo Show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me today.
You're welcome. So what do you make of this, employers being able to pull credit on employees and actually using this as a hiring tool, and in some cases they've used it as a firing tool? What do you make of that?
Well, the first thing I want to point out with that is that the employer, while they can do this, they have to get written authorization from you in order to do it prior to actually pulling your credit. And the reality is it does make sense, especially if you have a position where the person is going to be handling funds, private information. They want to make sure the concept behind it is that the person, how does a person handle their own finances? Do you want a VP of finance that can't handle their own personal finances, handling your company's finances or your client's finances? Probably not.
That makes sense. But the employee really is between a rock and a hard place there. It's like if I don't sign that authorization, well, then that's almost a confession. It's like I won't take a drug test, which means I'm on drugs, is the implication, right? But if I do sign it, then I run the risk of my prospective employer making any kind of decision without my feedback on that.
You know what? That is true, and similar. You have to look at an employment as a business decision, similar to any business decision. You have to determine, is this what's best for me? And that would be the same to your point. Yes, you have to, as an individual, determine if you're going to give them that authorization to look at your credit report, because once you do sign off on that authorization, they can certainly take a look at it, and potentially, again, depending on the position, you could be declined for a position based on what is on your credit report.
Yeah, so it really puts the employee in a tough position sometimes. And of course, the EEOC has taken the position that that it could be discriminatory against some minority groups. It's a mess for them. But from an employer's perspective, because look, I've been employing people since I was in my early 20s, and I've employed literally thousands of people. Well, I got to tell you, from an employer's perspective, from a perspective of a guy who wants to use the free enterprise system to grow jobs, to make income, to make a viable product that produces profits to feed families, and including my own, I think it's perfectly viable for an employer. Like an employer can do background tests, like an employer can do drug testing, I think the employer should, rightfully so, have the right to pull credit reports. Having said that, though, what that really means is you better get your credit report, better get your credit in shape, right?
You are absolutely correct.
That's the bottom line here. It's like, don't test me for drugs. Okay, don't do drugs.
Exactly.
That is true. That is very true. You do have to. And, that's one of the interesting things is there's many consumers out there that don't know what's on their credit report, don't know what type of information is listed on there. And that's one of the things I discuss in the credit report.
Yeah, so let's talk about that. Like, what's the one or two most common dumb things that people do to screw up their credit, Wences?
Well, one of the things that people sometimes do that affects their credit in a negative manner is they don't take into consideration debt to credit ratio. And what that means is a lot of times consumers think that because they're extended credit and they're making their monthly payments, that it's okay. But the reality is if your debt to credit ratio is too high, it's affecting your overall credit score in a negative manner. Because essentially what you have out there is maxed out accounts.
Basically, you owe a whole lot more money percentage-wise than you're bringing in.
Exactly.
Right. So like you're not even covering your monthly nut in a lot of cases.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that a lot of people don't understand that affects your overall credit score. And, I have an interesting story. I had a client recently that, again, made their payments on time, but when they went to go purchase a house, they were shocked to see what their score was because of the debt that they had. And even though they paid that debt on time, it was considerably higher than what they were making. Therefore, it ended up potentially affecting what they could qualify for a purchase of a home.
Okay, so if a person needs to repair their credit, what's the first thing that they should do?
First thing they should do is get a copy of that credit report.
I guess figure out what their credit score is.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's kind of like step one of
Yes.
the 12 steps here.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly what
You
it
have
is.
to acknowledge it.
You
Right.
have to, and that's the thing. A lot of people, just because you don't see it, it doesn't mean it doesn't exist.
Right.
It's out there. It
Right.
exists. You need to find out what that credit number, that score is, and what's listed. Why is it? If it's a negative score overall, why is it a negative score? What is bringing it down or keeping it down?
Okay, so let me ask you that. What are some of the what are some of the biggest things that keep a person's credit score down, low, keep it from picking back up?
One of from picking back up again, if your debt to credit ratio, if it's too high, that could keep it from coming back up. Another thing that kind of relates to that, but a lot of people are not aware of, is if you're trying to rebuild your credit, for instance, and you go out and you go to, say, like a furniture store, and you get credit, you obtain extended credit from that, that potentially will actually not help you improve your credit score. And the reason for that is because a lot of times with and again, let me say this real quick. I'm not saying furniture credit cards are bad. Furniture store credit cards are bad. It's just that they're not a very viable tool for repairing your credit. And the reason for that is because a lot of times when you go to one of these, you get a credit card, furniture credit card store, the credit you're extended is typically either for the item that you're purchasing or just a margin above. So you go back to that debt to credit ratio, you've instantly have a card now that's maxed out. That's not going to help you repair your credit.
Well, in outlet stores and furniture stores, they don't really do a rigorous check on your income, verify your income and verify your existing debt and all that. They pretty much go off what you put on the application.
That is.
And so somebody walks into a furniture store and they see all the pretty, the pretties that they want. And I mean, let's face it, people are going to fudge their application in order to get those pretties, which is their responsibility. I get that. I mean, that's their first mistake. And that is, they shouldn't be buying credit on furniture on credit to begin with. They should be, they shouldn't be buying hardly anything on credit, other than a house and maybe a really, really big ticket item like a car on a very, very short term, I believe. But other stuff like furniture and those household goods, those kinds of things, clothing, you never buy that stuff on credit. Pay cash.
No, and that's the thing. A lot of people are not aware or educated enough to understand that some of these types of credit cards can actually hurt your overall credit score because of that debt to credit ratio. The other thing is closing credit cards. A lot of people think if I pay this off and I close the credit card, then I'm on my way. And that actually can hurt you.
Yeah.
And the reason that can hurt you is because you're not only closing an account, but you're actually erasing credit history.
Right.
And potentially you're erasing positive credit history.
And if that credit history on that particular card was positive, you want to keep that in place.
Absolutely.
You're here on the Paul Montelongo live show with I'm here with Wences Perez. He's a credit restoration expert, and we're at KLAV 1230 AM in Las Vegas. So give me one more thought here, Wences, before we go to break on what a person, the biggest mistake that a person does in screwing up their credit. You've got this nice little report here, 7.5 most commonly made mistakes. Give me one more mistake that people make.
I'm going to give you a combination of 2 and 1. And the first one is...
So it's really 2 then?
Yes.
Okay, so I asked for 1, you're going to give me 2. So you're telling me this is a bonus session here.
Yes, you are correct.
Okay, good. I feel so blessed. Go ahead, Wences.
Not repairing your credit at all. Not doing anything about it.
All right.
That's going to, at the end of the day, hurt your credit the most.
Mm-hmm.
Again, to the point we talked about earlier. Just because you don't see it doesn't mean it doesn't exist.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing is not being educated and repairing your credit. You, by law, do not have to actually have a credit repair company help you. And
Right.
Any consumer can do it on their own. Unfortunately, what the reality is, a lot of consumers don't know what to do, and in the end, they end up hurting their overall credit score because of the work they're doing, because they're not educated. They don't know how the credit reporting agencies, bureaus work, and they end up lowering that credit score.
Okay, good. So I'll tell you what, let's do. Let's take a break. Let's do a little free enterprise work here. When we get back, I'll tell you how I fixed my credit. How's that?
Sounds
All right,
like
we'll be right back. Stay tuned.
Montelongo.
Welcome back. Paul Montelongo here. This is Get a Grip Business Radio, KLAV AM 1230, the talk of Las Vegas. Call toll-free 866-820-5528 or local 702-731-1230. Make sure you're watching the program live streaming at paulmontelongolive.com. And send me your feedback and your questions and comments at my Facebook page, Paul Montelongo Fan. And, of course, you can tweet me at Paul Montelongo. Tweet. Amy, tweet. All right, so we're here. Coming out of the – yeah, she's over there tweeting. All right, way to go. Working. So coming out of the break here, we were talking to Wences Perez. Wences, Vice President of Alliance Credit Restoration. We were talking about the things that people do that really screw up their credit repair or screw up their credit that they need repair, right? Because it has such a long-ranging effects having a poor credit. By the way, having poor credit is not the end of the world. I mean, it's not the end of the world. You can still do a lot of things. You can still buy a car. You can still buy real estate. You can still do some investments. You have to get real creative with it, right? You have to get real creative with it. You have to network and get partners and a lot of creativity. You still can have a viable business and a viable life with having a low credit score. Having a great credit score, or a good credit score, just kind of puts some cushion there in your life, doesn't it?
It does. It takes you from potentially with a card, it takes you from a good interest rate to a great interest rate. The other thing, to your point, what you were talking about, having not the best credit score out there, the reality is because of the recent economic downturn that the nation has experienced, there are more people today than ever in history that are having issues with their.
So what I see happening is, and you probably see this too since you counsel and advise so many with credit repair, is that people just get discouraged. It's like they feel a little bit beat down that, they let this credit thing get away from them. And now it's a really long road back because it doesn't get repaired in 30 to 60 days. It gets chipped away a little bit. 60 days, 90 days, 6 months, a year, because it's a very methodical process, isn't it, to get it back to a very healthy score.
You are correct, and that is true. People do get discouraged because the reality is it's not going to happen overnight. Your credit score is not going to be repaired in 3 months. Sometimes it takes up to a year to do it.
Sure.
It can be a long-term process. But the reality is that if you continue to move forward, keep doing what you're doing, you're going to achieve that goal. You're going to repair that credit. It's just, I always tell clients, patience is one of the biggest things associated with credit repair.
Right. So in my own example, I pulled my credit, and my credit was like, I forget the number, but it was below 600, right? And it was because I had gone through a divorce and, that kind of bull, right? So, which it's now way back up there. But the first thing I noticed was there were all these erroneous reports on it. There were these erroneous companies. It's like they weren't up to date. They were wrong. I had paid them off. There were like 4 instances of that. And when I corrected those, boom, it went right back to where it should have been, right? Or close to, I should say. So that right there was just awareness. Just awareness, and I think that the biggest thing that a person can do is hire somebody that knows what the heck they're doing, which is what I did. You hire somebody to do, and it's not that expensive, and the benefits to hire somebody to do it for you versus the time and energy and effort, emotional energy, and the financial gain that you'll lose, or the financial wherewithal that you'll lose while you're fooling around with your credit. It's easier just to hire somebody to do it for you. You agree with that? Of course you do.
Absolutely. You want somebody that's knowledgeable in the credit repair industry. You want somebody not only knowledgeable, but you want somebody that's going to be honest with you. Again, unfortunately, a lot of times with credit repair, you potentially have companies that tell you it's going to happen overnight or promise you we're going to get you to that 800 score. And the reality is it doesn't work that way. You do want a knowledgeable and trustable company that is going to be in there for the long run with you. And is going to help you get that credit up, and it's going to help you address those inaccuracies with the 3 major credit bureau agencies.
Good. Thanks a lot, Wences. Because I believe in the free enterprise system, I want to make sure that you let our listeners know your website and how they can get a hold of you. And also, let me say to the listeners here that you have a free special report for them called the 7.5 most commonly made mistakes for credit repair, like the things that people do to screw up their credit repair. And that's free to our listeners when they log on to your website. So what is your website address for them, please?
The website is alliancecreditrestore.com. Again, alliancecreditrestore.com. And yes, you can log on to our website, download this free report. And in addition to the 7.5 most commonly made mistakes, it's going to give you an overall view into the credit repair world and what your rights are as a consumer.
I like that. Yeah, I like that. And it's not as overwhelming as people think. Just got to take action, get with it, right?
Absolutely.
All right. Thanks for being here today, Wences. Really appreciate it. You are listening to the Paul Montelongo Show. Follow us on the internet, paulmontelongolive.com. Also call in 866-820-5528. We'll take your questions off Twitter, Paul Montelongo, Twitter at Paul Montelongo, and off Facebook, Paul Montelongo Fan. Little segment that I've got here, Amy, and I call it People in the News Who Need to Get a Grip. Cool. I mean, these are stories that I've collected over the past few weeks. For lack of a better term, these are just people that are they just don't have it together. Let's put it that way. I'm being real nice, right?
There are a lot of people that need to get a grip, I think.
They need to go. So out of Florida, a Florida teen who was seen by a neighbor pushing a stolen air conditioner down the street in a wheelbarrow gave cops a great reason for the theft. He said that he took the unit to sell for scrap because he had to get the money to pay off a restitution debt to Walmart after he was caught shoplifting from Walmart. So when police arrested him, they found this wheelbarrow. He was pushing this wheelbarrow with an air conditioner, and he was going to sell it for scrap to pay off his thievery debt to Walmart. I'm telling you, this guy, he's what is he, 19 years old?
He's genius.
He's I don't think that's free enterprise right there. That's just flat out thievery. Anyway, so here's one that I know you'd appreciate, Amy, Internet Amy, and that is this guy, Christopher Robinson. Authorities found a picture of him on Facebook where he was wrapped up in a bunch of money on the floor. And they used his Facebook photos and him posting himself with all of this cash to bust him for allegedly failing to pay child support. ABC News reported that this Milwaukee man, I don't really think this is a man. This is not the behavior of a man, by the way. That's
Nope.
just my own opinion. So this boy, who happens to be 18 or 19 years old, was charged with 3 felony counts of failure to support his 3-year-old child. He didn't make a single monthly child support payment for 3 years. He was supposed to pony up $150 a month. He didn't.
$150 a month, come on.
I know. And they busted him from a picture that he posted on Facebook of himself laying in a bunch of cash there.
That's straight up gangster stuff right there.
So Facebook and Twitter and all the social media sites, those are really great sites. I mean, it's the way of the world right now. It's the way the world is that we have to use. If you're in business and if you have an enterprise and you want to promote your business and you want to get customers, and more importantly, if you want to stay connected to your customers, I mean, you have to use these social media sites. But as it shows right here, I mean, some of the way that people use them these sites can get themselves in trouble, don't you think?
Absolutely. I mean, these sites are fantastic for getting your message out there, for branding, for public relations. But if you're doing anything that you shouldn't be doing, you probably shouldn't post it on Facebook.
Because what happens in Vegas shows up on Facebook, right?
That's right. That's right. Absolutely.
All right. One more story here, then we'll go to a quick break. And this week, Rutgers University administrators, they fired the men's basketball coach Mike Rice because they saw a video of him mistreating players, including shoving them, berating them with gay slurs. I saw the video. He was throwing basketball at them. He was pushing them. Mm-hmm. And I've actually heard a couple of people defend his actions. And it's like, oh, he's the coach and he's just a disciplinarian. And I got to tell you, I think that the firing of this guy, Mike Rice, the right call. by Rutgers University.
Absolutely. I think so too. The interesting question to me was they have all these videos that people are shooting with their cell phones and different devices these days. Would this guy still have a job had this happened 20 years ago when there was no video on your phone? You know, would this be under the rug?
Yeah, who knows? 20 years ago, I mean, behavior of coaches were was a lot different. I mean, way back in the last century, in the last century when I played football,
Right,
way back in the last century,
way back,
just right after they had leather helmets. I remember a coach pushing me, grabbing me by the face mask and pushing me, and something triggered in my head. And when he did that, I got right back at him and I said, "Don't you ever do that to me again." And that stopped right there, So, I mean, a guy has to take up for himself. But this kind of behavior here, I just can't see. I can't see Phil Jackson doing that. I can't see Rick Pitino doing that. I can't see Mike Krzyzewski doing that. I can't see your Class A blue chip coaches, world-class coaches, resorting to that kind of behavior to motivate their kids to play basketball.
Inspiration, not degradation.
Yeah. So good for Rutgers for sending this guy to the curb, right?
Absolutely. Set an example.
Yeah. So we're here at the Paul Montelongo Show, and stay tuned. We're going to be right back because when we get back, we're going to go into a segment I call I'm Sexy and I Know It.
Woohoo.
As more Americans become disillusioned with traditional investment choices, the trend of self-directed IRAs is growing, and no trust company is more preferred than Preferred Trust Company, LLC. With their 30 years of combined experience, Preferred Trust Company makes self-direction easy. A self-directed IRA with Preferred Trust Company offers you maximum flexibility, convenience, 24-hour access, and a host of tax advantages. Call Preferred Trust Company now and get started at 702-990-7892 or visit preferredtrustcompany.com.
When it comes to understanding your credit, knowledge is key. If your credit score is holding you back, visit AllianceCreditRestore.com today. With 24-hour access to your account, constant updates, and one-on-one customer service, there's never been a better time to start living the life you deserve. Call Alliance Credit Restoration now at 702-834-8150. That's 702-834-8150. Or visit AllianceCreditRestore.com. Log on now and get your free report, the 7.5 most commonly made mistakes of credit repair.
Finally, a business show that isn't boring. This is Get a Grip Business Radio. Here again, your host, Paul Montelongo.
Welcome back to KLAV AM 1230 Radio, the talk of Las Vegas. I'm Paul Montelongo. This is Get a Grip Business Radio. Join me live streaming at paulmontelongolive.com, where you can see the show live. Has it happening right now. Also, Facebook me, Facebook fan, Paul Montelongo, Facebook fan, and tweet me at Paul Montelongo with your questions and comments. So this segment right here, I'm calling it I'm Sexy and I Know It.
I'm sexy and I know it. I'm sexy and I know it.
Okay, so even though this is a business show, there is business in sex.
Absolutely.
Or there is sex in business.
Right. Well, we do live in Las Vegas,
Right. We live in Las Vegas, and this town has just got a sexual energy in it that just is unbelievable. And so it's a good thing. So here's an interesting story about the porn industry. The porn industry is in decline. Now, as I give you this story here, Amy, let's just not go, let's not do the metaphors here, okay? We're just going to do the story, and then we'll let the listeners, we'll let their mind.
It's going to be hard.
Yeah, we'll let their mind. Oh, man, she did it already. She did it. We're going to let the listener's mind go where it goes, okay? So insiders claim the porn business has gone limp, metaphorically speaking, of course, because most people are watching porn for free over the internet instead of purchasing it. Piracy has killed the industry, insiders say. It's hard to track how much money the porn industry has lost because it's nearly impossible to figure out how much it typically earns. Estimates are that pornography business made $10 billion in 2012. Ready for this? Down from the estimated 13 to 15 billion prior to the recession. So The way they say that the porn industry has gone down is that budgets are being slashed. In fact, one performer said that she even had to do her own makeup.
No way.
What has this world come to?
At least she didn't have to buy her own clothes, right?
I don't know about that. Anyway,
Don't
so
know how much clothes they wear.
I don't know. Why don't you check that out? You're the social media expert there. You can check that out. I'm sure you have resources, right? So I'm sexy and I know it. Even Bill and Melinda Gates are sexy and they know it, right? So Bill Gates pledges to reinvent the condom. Are you aware of this, Amy?
I was not aware of this.
That's right, Bill.
I wondered what porn had to do with Bill Gates here. Nice segue.
Thank you. Yeah. So you ready for this? You know, he is the chairman, the founder of a company called Microsoft.
Ooh, oh, they're changing their name, huh? To
Microsoft. And he is, what Bill and Melinda have done, they've set their sights on the next global concern. These philanthropists they are. And that is that they say the concern that needs attention is building a better condom. They have a foundation, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, and they have dedicated $100,000 in grant money to fund any group that can come up with a prototype, you ready for this, that significantly preserves or enhances pleasure in order to improve uptake and regular use.
Now, you know you got too much money when that's the type of things that you're really giving out.
And when you have that kind of money, I guess you can do pretty much anything you want. So they're pledging money to bankroll any design that manages to combat the general stigma against condoms, that they decrease sexual pleasure.
Decrease?
I know. We're going there. We're going there.
Well, you know, this goes back to what you were talking about earlier with the crowdsourcing. Why don't we get the crowd involved in this?
Crowdsource out condom research.
Exactly.
Huh? I like that. Anyway, the Gates Foundation says that the winning ideas that secure that get secured, they'll the phase funding of $100,000, they'll be eligible for an additional $1 million in phase 2 if the results of their findings are promising. And now finally, here's what President Obama is up to. All right, President Obama, he's sexy and he knows it. Yeah. He is sexy and he knows it. I got to tell you, you know, I've got some political issues with President Obama and so forth, but let's face it, I mean, he's got the swagger.
He's got some charisma. He definitely has the swagger.
He's got the swagger, right? So, in his White House transcript, he said in a speech, you have to be careful to, first of all, say, speaking of Kamala Harris, by the way, that she's brilliant and she's dedicated and she's tough and she's exactly what you would want in anybody who is administering the law and making sure that everybody is getting a fair shake. And then he went on to say, she also happens to be by far the best looking attorney general in the country.
Well, now we know why she got hired.
Yeah. And so there you go, President Obama. But I don't know. I don't know if she's the best looking attorney general in the country. You know, there's an attorney general out there in Florida, Pam Bondi. She's a good looking woman, right? So anytime a woman can be really good looking and powerful and smart and brilliant, you got to dig that.
Absolutely.
These people are sexy and they know it. Thanks a lot for joining us today on the Paul Montelongo Get a Grip Business Radio. My accomplice, Amy. Internet Amy, make sure that you Facebook fan Paul Montelongo. Tweet me at Twitter at Paul Montelongo. Go to Paul Montelongo Live for the rebroadcast of this broadcast here. Join me next week right here, KLAV Live, 1230 AM radio in Las Vegas for Paul Montelongo Radio. And in the meantime, get a grip on your life, get a grip on your business, go big or go home. Yeah, no, that was good. That was fun. That was good.
How'd it go, Paul? I didn't get here.
That was good.
What are your plans for next week?
More business stuff, more Obama stuff, and more I'm sexy and I know it stuff.